Yesterday, I'm at the gym, just doing a little workout to get some of the fat off, you know. There was a guy working out right next to me there. He had tattoos on him, and I couldn't read what it was because it was a foreign language, I guess, foreign writing. So I asked him, a young guy, at best, he was 20, I think. He looked very, very young, and he looked like a white guy, but when I spoke to him, he had a foreign accent. So I don't know if it's from Russia or wherever, maybe a Jew or whatever, but he had a foreign accent. So I don't know, but he looked white and very young. At best, he was 20, maybe 21, all right? So he had his tattoo on, and I said, what does your tattoo say? And he said, it's my girlfriend's name. That's her name on me. I said, oh, that's interesting. And then he said, well, it doesn't matter at this point anyway. I said, why not? He said, because we broke up. First I asked, how long had you been dating her? He said, for 3 years. And so I asked, why did you break up? And he said, well, because of my anger. He said that I have a lot of anger, and sometimes she just get to me and I just grab her and shake her and sit her down and get her to be quiet. And I can't overcome it, so the people have been telling me to go to the gym. They say, well, go to the gym and work it out, work it off, or play basketball, or go out, go somewhere and just get over it, right? And he said that I've been seeing a psychiatrist. He couldn't think of what it was. So we were trying to figure out. He finally said a psychiatrist, and he said that the psychiatrist can't help me, and I'm just not. I just have all this anger. I just can't seem to get over it. And he said, I'm very concerned because if I don't get over this anger, my girlfriend and I probably won't get back together, because she said that we couldn't be together as long as I was angry. So he was really, really frustrated. You just see the frustration all over him. And he's like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know if I'm ever going to get over this. I've tried everything. And working out is not helping. And I said to him, working out is not going to get rid of your anger. Playing basketball is not going to get rid of your anger. There's nothing physically you can do to get rid of anger. And so I asked, I said, do you want me to tell you how to overcome it? And he's like, yeah, anything, tell me. And I said, you need to forgive your mother. I said, you become like her. And he kind of paused for a while, gave a little smile, and he said, well, it's my father that I need to forgive. And I said, well, you need to forgive your father then. And why do you need to forgive your father? And he said, because when I was growing up, I saw my father beat my mother, and all I could do was watch it happen, and there was nothing I could do about it. And so I just hate my dad for that. I hate my father. And I said, oh, okay, well, you need to forgive your father. I said to him, you're never, ever, ever going to be free until you can forgive. And he was like, well, what do you mean? How do you forgive? I said, you notice how you are out of control? You can't help yourself. You attack your girlfriend. You don't want to. You got this anger, and it's making you do things you don't want to do. He said, yeah. I said, well, your father have the same spirit. It was wrong for what he did to your mother, but he couldn't help himself, just as you can't help yourself. And by you hating your father, you become like him because you've taken on that same spirit. So you have become like your father. And I realized that you couldn't help it. You were a young guy, you're seeing this happen, so you couldn't help but resent your father after a while. But if you can forgive him, you can be free just like that. I said that the only reason you have this anger, you're holding on to it, and the psychiatrist and no one can show you how to overcome it because they don't understand it. And all you need to do is forgive. Go to your father and forgive him. First I asked, do you understand? Do you see what I'm talking about? He said, yeah, that makes sense. And I said, go to your dad and say to him, I'm sorry for resenting you. I've become like you, and I now understand what's driving you, that you couldn't help yourself. And I know myself now. I see what's going on with me, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for resenting you. And that boy, right away, he just lit up. It's like he became teary eyes, and he just like someone turned a bright light on inside a dark room, and he was like so excited. He was like pacing the floor there for a while, and then he said to me, "Wow, no one has ever said this to me before. I've never heard this. He said, I've gone to a psychiatrist. People are telling me to work out or go play basketball or take a walk, and none of that stuff has ever worked for me. And I've never been told about forgiveness. And then he asked, how do you know this? Where did you get this from? How do you know this? This is a young kid now, just innocent looking. And I said, well, first I had to overcome that. I had to forgive, and God forgave me and just freed me up. And secondly, I've been working 23 years helping men and women, but especially men, to overcome that. We all, men and women, have the same spirit. They come from hating. And he was like, wow, I just never, ever have been told this before. And I said, does it make sense? He said, yeah, it makes sense. It just makes so much sense. I said, well, the reason it makes sense to you because it's in you to know the truth. All I did was awaken something, point towards something that awakened you so you can see that it's true. And this young guy, he was like on fire. And he was trying to remember what to say to his father. I heard him over there saying, all right, I'm going to go to Dad and say, you know what, I'm sorry for hating you. I'm wrong. I'm never... And he asked me, what do I say? And I told him, just, apologize for hating him. Don't ask him to forgive you. You forgive him, and God will forgive you. And he had said to me, I never wanted to talk to my dad again. I said, see, that's wrong. You have to understand your father the same way you're understanding what's happening now. And I said, your dad has these issues with anger. He feels like everybody's against him. And the worst thing that could have happened to him is to lose his son. I said, now you are against him. And that's the worst thing that can happen to a father, is when they lose their sons. And the boy started crying. He just broke down in tears. It's like a miracle happened right there in front of my eyes because this young man understood forgiveness. And some people get it just like that. Some don't. A whole lot of people don't get it. But he was able to just get it. It just freed him up. And he left that gym like he was floating on a cloud. And this guy was all frustrated and he wanted to overcome that. And I realized that he had suffered so much from his anger and he wanted to overcome. And that's why it was easy for him to just see the truth because he wanted to overcome. But a light came on. He left that gym a different person, and he said, look, I'm going straight to my father. And I'm going to forgive him. I'm going to apologize for hating him. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He kept shaking my hand. And he asked for my how can I get in touch with you? So I gave him my office number and said, if you have any question or you need to talk, call me at my office here. This young man was set free at an instant. And that is a miracle. Because a lot of people do not go free. They spend a lifetime never going free. God sent Christ so that we could be free. You can overcome anything if you're willing to forgive. By realizing that you are being driven by a spirit and it causes you to do the things that you don't want to do, and you wouldn't want someone to hate you for those things that you can't help yourself about. It was a miracle, folks. It wore me out. It just blessed me to see that happen. I did not expect it. Asking this guy about this tattoo, I never once thought that it would end in a spiritual awakening for him and a miracle happening right before my eyes. And so it was amazing how a conversation about a tattoo can set someone free. I'm telling you, America, men and women of all ages, all races, you can read the Bible until the cows come home. You can go to church until you're black and blue in the face. You can give your money until you're broke. But if you don't forgive, you can live in fine homes and have so-called great friends. But if you don't forgive, you never know peace. God will never forgive you until you forgive others. And it starts with parents first. You can think you have these wonderful parents if you want because you're in denial out of fear of facing your parents. But you're never going to know love. You're never going to know God until you can forgive. And just that simple. And forgive spiritually. That boy forgave spiritually before he even confronted his father. He saw that was the truth. And seeing that truth, he was freed up. Isn't that amazing? He came out of denial, and he was made to be free.